So this is what we have in Smith County. In Ector County, we have 84.35. The Smith County case, we were appointed in April. This case in Ector County, we were just appointed on September the 17th of 2008. So we've got a pretty good amount of time in that, and we're just getting started. Hale County, this case was one that I had in my private practice, and the Oversight Board and the task force allowed me to bring that to the office. So I had a lot of hours into it through a private compensation system, and this is one we were able to dispose of shortly after this office started, so it doesn't reflect a lot of hours, but this was a life without parole plea bargain. Lubbock County, we have 481.15 hours. This actually represents hours for 3 cases in Lubbock County. One I had in my private practice, and I brought it with me to the office. 2, we were appointed on. One not long ago. It was an older case that the trial team wanted off, and we took it over. And the other one was a new case that we worked hard and worked with the DA's office, and everything just kind of fell into place, and we were able to dispose of it with a plea bargain for 50 years. And the other one that had been an older case, a lot of the work had been done by the private team. We disposed of it with a 7-year prison sentence. And just as an aside, our client was holding out for 5 when he was looking at the death sentence, so that was a tough one. And the other one in Lubbock County is still pending. In Potter County, we've broken that down. You can see the hours. We have 68.75 hours in that. We were appointed on that case July 22nd of this year. Randall County, we have 2 cases there. One we were appointed in March of 2008. The other one we were appointed on April the 16th of 2008. Both those cases are pending right now. Really tough cases, and we've got a lot of time in those. Reeves County is, for those of you that don't know, is Pecos. Our region, as you can see, extends almost out to El Paso. We go a long way out. We were just appointed on that case on September the 26th of 2008, and that's why there aren't a lot of hours into that case yet. We were appointed in Taylor County on a case that happened earlier in the year, but the trial judge in that case had appointed some private, gone through the private system, and then when Taylor County got on board and signed the interlocal agreement with the consent of the client and the consent of the trial team and the consent of the trial judge, we took that case over. So we actually were appointed on that case on August the 6th of 2008. We have 140 hours in that case. We have a case in Tom Green County, San Angelo. We have almost 400 hours in that case. We were appointed in June of this year. That's the end of the slideshow, and then I wanted to ask Tony to speak very briefly on how it is to open up a satellite office to do this.
Jack mentioned when we first put the program together, he started it up last year. Initial thought was we're covering a very large area, 64,000 square miles. The thought was originally let's have it based out of Lubbock, which is mostly what has been done. However, after some more thought, decided it makes more sense to not only have one office there in Lubbock, but also to have regional or satellite offices where people can be more responsive. That's one of the things I think that brings there. We're very fortunate in Amarillo. For those of you who don't know, Amarillo is basically divided in half, with Potter County to the north, Randall County to the south. Both the counties are part of the program. They're both very helpful. Both of them volunteered office space for myself to use and for our office to use when we're up there working. Likewise, down in Midland, Odessa area, Midland County provided space for us down there. I think we get mainly 3 benefits by having a satellite office. Number 1, responsiveness. If we get a case appointed, such as the ones you saw, we have Potter County, in Randall County, in Hereford, Smith County. We've got somebody who can be there on site within a matter of minutes or an hour, as opposed to 2 or 3 hours to get up there. We save money. We don't have the travel time. You're sitting there in a car going 1 or 2 hours, the windshield time. You don't have the fuel costs traveling back and forth. You don't have the hotel costs when you have to stay over and visit. We're more responsive to the courts. If we've got court hearings, it's easy to run down there to the court. You need to take a look at a file. It's easy to run over to the DA's office. We have that accessibility there. By having everybody based out of Lubbock as far as support staff, technology allows us to take advantage of the resources between the telephones, cell phones, laptop computers. We're able to keep in touch, share ideas and share information no matter where we're located at. When we need the physical presence there, and we bring the people together. And lastly, I think from the county's perspective that are part of the program, they like having that local presence. We're not the out-of-town lawyers from Lubbock up there. It's the guy who's just down the street, the officer of the next county over. It gives you that presence there. You get that responsiveness. You've got a face that you can go to if you've got issues that arise. If you need somebody there in 10 minutes or an hour, you can have that as opposed to, well, we'll get over there next week. So I think based on those things, we put together the office with the satellites, and I think that's been to the advantage of the program, and I think the counties that have participated like that as well.
And I would add there are just some advantages certainly for our clients are that, and number one, and for the counties as well, is I think that in the long run, it's too early to tell, but I think in the long run we will certainly shorten the stay in the county jail for our particular client. What happens under the system as we appoint now is it honestly takes anywhere from 3 weeks to several months to actually get a defense team together that's required now, that's mandated by the Constitution. The way it works is a judge will locate somebody that will take it as a first chair and then say, find a second chair, find a mitigator, find an investigator. And it literally takes weeks and weeks to get a team together to report back to the judge and say, here's who I've got. And so we're starting out several months behind at the outset because the district attorney is certainly not going to sit and wait for us to catch up if he can avoid it. So by us having a team at the outset, what happens now, and I'm proud to say what's happened, is we'll get a call from a judge and say, I've got a case for you. And we have a protocol in the office, and we will have, and have successfully had, I think on every case, somebody in the region, wherever the case is located, in contact with our client within 24 hours. The only exception to that I'm aware of is one case where the gentleman was granted relief from the United States Supreme Court on punishment, was on death row, and we got appointed on it, and we had a team to meet with him on death row within 7 days. I actually think it was 5 days before we had our first contact with him. So we're seeing people right away, which is going to speed up the process. The other thing that's not reflected in this, yes, Jim?
Yeah, I'd be curious too, how does that relate compared to when you got assigned a case back in the olden days?
The old days, when I'd get a case, and I had done a number of capital cases, I'd usually get a call from a judge and say, I want you to see such and such. It's a capital case. And, of course, I had a busy practice, and I did a lot out of town because of the way the system works. In a lot of adjoining counties and outlying counties, they don't have anybody there qualified. And so it may take a week or 10 days before I'd actually get in touch with the client. Actually, what we do right now is the minute we get a phone call from a judge and we're appointed on a case, our office, we have protocols for everybody in the office. Every position in the office has a written protocol that Hans has helped us develop. I haven't introduced him yet. One of the things we're doing is we're incorporating other disciplines into what we do. We have Hans as a team management guy, and we brought him in to see how we could work better together as a team and develop a narrative and a story and how we could do that. And one of the things, we spent a day with him one day, and we all sat and he asked us to write down what we think we needed to do for our particular job in the office. And out of that, we developed protocols. And so one of the protocols that we do now, everybody ought to be doing, and I just never thought of it in private practice, is the very minute we're appointed on a case, the very minute we're appointed on the case, the office manager knows that she will generate letters to the prosecuting authority, to the sheriff's office where our client is housed, to any law enforcement personnel in that jurisdiction, sheriff's office, police department. If there are children involved, we send a letter to CPS. We send a letter to everybody that could possibly have contact with our client, and it's one of these don't talk to him letters. If you want to talk to our client, clear it with us first.